There is only one thing in life you can control: your own effort. If you don't follow the stock market, you are missing some amazing drama. I'd rather be tired than broke. Sweat equity is the most valuable equity there is. The only thing in your control is effort, that's all, and that's everything. It takes time, it's a grind. There are no shortcuts, you've got to grind and grind. Perfectionism is the enemy of profitability. Time is the most valuable asset you don't own. It's not in the dreaming, it's in the doing. Today is the youngest you will ever be. Live like it. Always look for the fool in the deal. If you don't find one, it's you. Love what you do or don't do it. If you really want to know where your destiny lies, look at where you apply your time. Sales cure all. Know how your company will make money and how you will actually make sales. Focus on building the best possible business. If you are great, people will notice and opportunities will appear. Expect the unexpected, and always be ready. Everyone has inside them what it takes to be successful. You just have to be ready to unleash it when the opportunity presents itself. What I've learned is that, if you really want to be successful at something, you'll find that you put the time in. You won't just ask somebody if it's a good idea. You'll go figure out if it's a good idea. Forget about finding your passion. Instead, focus on finding big problems. Because if you're prepared, and you know what it takes, it's not a risk. You just have to figure out how to get there. There is always a way to get there. Because if you're prepared, and you know what it takes, it's not a risk. You just have to figure out how to get there. There is always a way to get there. Sweat equity is the most valuable equity there is. Know your business and industry better than anyone else in the world. Love what you do or don't do it. I love to compete. I want to get out there and kick your ass in the business world. That is what inspires me. There are no shortcuts. You have to work hard and try to put yourself in a position where if luck strikes, you can see the opportunity and take advantage of it. Business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal. The number one job of the hedge fund manager is not to make sure that you can retire with a smile on your face. It's for him to retire with a smile on his face. I do everything via email, which in turn works as my tickler file and prioritization queue. I start at the top every morning and keep on going until I'm finished. I don't do calls. I don't do meetings. One of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make, that we lie to ourselves. We don't step back and look at ourselves like a competitor would. Know your stuff. Have an angle. Know how to grow business. How to develop products. Have patents and an undeveloped market that could be huge. What I've learned in these 11 years is you just got to stay focused and believe in yourself and trust your own ability and judgment. The idea that growth equals profitability is a misconception. If you can't afford the financial or qualitative side of growth, it can just as easily put you out of business. I learned how to become wealthy because I asked the right questions when I was broke. As I would learn later in life, money makes you extremely handsome.
Every champion was once a contender that refused to give up. Every time I failed, people had me out for the count, but I always come back. Success is usually the culmination of controlling failures. The world meets nobody halfway. When you want something, you gotta take it. Now if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. Don't discuss your dreams, pursue them. You gotta do what you gotta do. Dreams cost nothing. They are free. The hard part is just keeping them going. Plan B. You've always got to have a plan B. Nothing is real if you don't believe in who you are. The older I get, the more things I gotta leave behind. I'd rather do something I love badly than to feel bad about not doing something I love. Love is absolute loyalty. People fade, looks fade, but the loyalty never fades. You have to be really loyal to the people that supported you when you were coming up. When you're pushed, killing is as easy as breathing. When life hits you pretty hard, you can go into a dark corner. Life is more than sunglasses and hit movies. Reality, that's the main event. I'm not right-wing. I'm not left-wing. I love my country. Study people's success stories hard. Study their failures even harder. When boxes are in the ring, they're simple. It's when the fight is over, that's when the other fight, the real fight, begins. That's the problem. Once in one's life, for one mortal moment, one must make a grab for immortality. If not, one has not lived. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life, but it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Going that one more round when you don't think you can. That's what makes all the difference in your life. I am not the richest, smartest, or most talented person in the world, but I succeed because I keep going and going and going. When you're scared, when you're hanging on, when life is hurting you, then you're going to see what you're really made of. I take rejection as someone blowing a bugle in my ear to wake me up and get going, rather than retreat. There's a natural law of karma that vindictive people, who go out of their way to hurt others, will end up broke and alone. Every rep I did on chin-ups, on squats with 500 pounds, I never said, to myself, oh, my God, another rep. I said, yes, another rep, because that will make my dream turn into a reality. The character of Rocky was built on the idea that he was chosen to do something. That's why the first image in Rocky is the picture of Christ. When boxes are in the ring, they're simple. It's when the fight is over, that's when the other fight, the real fight, begins. That's the problem. Every morning, I crawl out of bed. I sit there and think, do I really need this? And I drag myself to the gym in my garage. It's not fun. I hate it. I work out alone, weights. I'm usually taken for a non-intellectual, a person of limited intelligence. I don't know why, but I figure it's because physically I don't look intelligent. When crossing someone's borders, you have to be prepared to engage in a war that is far more brutal than if it were to take place on neutral territory. I feel that America is like a child that grew up so strong and so fast and so tall that it became self-conscious about its size and started to stoop over so as not to offend anyone.
Our money is bait money, and bait money is not to be used. I shouldn't have done that, but I was irritated, tired, high and pissed off. As long as we persevere and endure, we can get anything we want. Discipline is doing what you hate to do, but nonetheless doing it like you love it. Without discipline, you'd be a champion. Fighting is a sport. If you're not humble, it's going to bring humbleness to you. Everybody you fight is not your enemy, and everybody who helps you is not your friend. I'm the most brutal and ruthless conqueror there has ever been. Most fighters are the most humble people in the world, because they've gotten their ass kicked before. Fighting is not physical, fighting is spiritual. It's the determination and the will in the guy. I try to catch them right on the tip of his nose, because I try to punch the bone into the brain. I'm a bad guy, but if I was a good guy, nobody would want to pay to see me fight. My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm ferocious. I'm a dreamer. I have to dream and reach for the stars, and if I miss a star, then I grab a handful of clouds. Greatness is given to us all, but only a select few can handle the ride. I'm successful because I'm valuable, not valuable because I'm successful. A champion does it like he loves it, even when he doesn't. Any man can do what he has to do, but doing it like you love it, that is what takes it to a whole different level. I don't dream anymore. All I do is manifest, because they're better than dreams, and they come to reality quicker. When you have something in life that you want to accomplish greatly, you have to be willing to give up your happiness. Social media made your way to comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting punched in the face for it. Sometimes I'd give my mother $100 and she wouldn't pay me back. She didn't respect me like that. I'd say, "You owe me some money, Ma," and she'd just say, "You owe me your life, boy. I'm not paying you back." It's good to be successful and have financial status, but if you're only gonna live for the money, you're only gonna reach a certain status, and I'm in there for greatness and peace of mind. That equals to being a fool, having fame and no fortune. A lot of guys out there have fame doing this and doing that, but they are broke. If they don't have that extreme addict personality, you can never understand how a guy can blow $300 or $400 million. If I have to live at the top of the world, I also have to live at the bottom of the ocean. I don't know how to live in the middle of life. Unfortunately, sometimes you can't have fun accomplishing your goals. Sometimes people don't have the determination, the will, the steadfastness, the tenacity. They give in under the slightest struggle. You can't be disturbed by anything. There's no emotion involved. You can't feel sorrow. You can't feel pity. There's nothing you feel. The job has to be done. No one wants to get up at 4 and run when it's pitch dark, but it has to be done. The only reason I do it so early is because I believe the other guy isn't doing it, and that gives me a little edge. You have to feel comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm always comfortable being uncomfortable, and to be comfortable being uncomfortable, I have to hone my discipline, which to me is doing what I have to do, but also doing it like I love it. The ability to apply the discipline, the ability to do what needs to be done no matter how he feels inside, in my opinion, is the definition of a true professional.
Has not one of the poets said that a noble friend is the best gift, and a noble enemy the next best? When we hate our enemies, we are giving them power over us, power over our sleep, our appetites, our blood pressure, our health, and our happiness. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity, which denounces our separation, and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. My high charms work, and these, mine enemies, are all knit up in their distractions. They now are in my power. When we hate our enemies, we are giving them power over us, power over our sleep, our appetites, our blood pressure, our health, and our happiness. The will of God, to which the law gives expression, is that men should defeat their enemies by loving them. We do not merely destroy our enemies, we change them. You provided us with a common enemy. You allied us. The important thing in strategy is to suppress the enemy's useful actions but allow his useless actions. What about Jacob? What was I going to do about him? My former best friend who was now, what? My enemy? My only love sprung from my only hate. Thus the expert in battle moves the enemy, and is not moved by him. Miss Everdeen, I thought we had agreed not to lie to each other. You can love a person dear to you with a human love, but an enemy can only be loved with divine love. The greatest enemy is one that has nothing to lose. Enjoy thy triumph, soon or late thou'lt find thou art an enemy to thyself. That was a tough year. I wasn't liked at all, he later said. I demanded they do better, so I made a lot of enemies. It was an odd thing, but true, that the death of an enemy could affect you almost as much as the death of a friend. Then justice is the art which gives good to friends and evil to enemies. A man can condemn his enemies, but it's wiser to know them. Since when do you have to tell the enemy when he has won? It is perilous to study too deeply the arts of the enemy, for good or for ill. It is perilous to study too deeply the arts of the enemy, for good or for ill. When the white man dies, he thinks he is at peace, but the red men know how to torture even the ghosts of their enemies. The most dangerous enemy is not the one who lingers behind you in the shadows, but the one who walks beside you as a friend. Man is the only real enemy we have. Remove man from the scene, and the root cause of hunger and overwork is abolished forever. Lord, protect me from my friends. I can take care of my enemies. The most dangerous enemy is that which no one fears. I suppose I'll have to add the force of gravity to my list of enemies. It is easy to love your friend, but sometimes the hardest lesson to learn is to love your enemy. Treachery and violence are spears pointed at both ends. They wound those who resort to them worse than their enemies. If you don't make a few enemies every now and then, you're a coward. In the moment when I truly understand my enemy, understand him well enough to defeat him, then in that very moment I also love him. That's stupid, I thought swiftly, they'd both come here to fight and they're both supposed to be smarter than that. What difference does the side make? Thus whole nations are roused to arms. Thus the Turks repel their enemies, the Arabs of the Sudan break the British squares, and the rising on the Indian frontier spreads far and wide. In each case civilization is confronted with militant Mohammedanism. There are two things I'm quite certain of, I remarked, as we discussed the day's doings while we brushed and plaited our hair. I shall dislike Ernestine Salt exceedingly, but I've simply fallen in love with Catherine Winstanley. The jealousy of a free people ought to be constantly awake, since history and experience prove that foreign influence is one of the most baneful foes of republican government. Stamp, your name is to be Laura. I'm sharing my name with you. I'm putting my power into you and you must do my work. Don't listen to anyone but me. You are to be my command laid on my enemy.
Act as if what you do makes a difference. It does. Work like there is someone working 24 hours a day to take it away from you. It is when we are most lost that we sometimes find our truest friends. When you have a dream, you've got to grab it and never let go. We all can dance when we find music that we love. No matter what you're going through, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It is never too late to be wise. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible. You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. Ever try? Ever failed? No matter, try again, fail better. You must do the things you think you cannot do. You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. With the right kind of coaching and determination, you can accomplish anything. Ambition is the path to success. Persistence is the vehicle you arrive in. Happiness and influence, and that which you seek to make your life complete. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Successful men and women keep moving. They make mistakes, but they don't quit. Failure happens all the time. It happens every day in practice. What makes you better is how you react to it. Everything that's broken was beautiful at one time, and our mistakes make us better people. I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sails to always reach my destination. Just because someone stumbles and loses their path, doesn't mean they're lost forever. It is our attitude at the beginning of a difficult task which, more than anything else, will affect its successful outcome. To find something, anything, a great truth or a lost pair of glasses, you must first believe there will be some advantage in finding it. There should be no boundaries to human endeavor. We are all different. However bad life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. While there's life, there is hope. Just don't give up trying to do what you really want to do. Where there is love and inspiration, I don't think you can go wrong. We can't retract the decisions we've made. We can only affect the decisions we're going to make from here. When a defining moment comes along, you can do one of two things. Define the moment, or let the moment define you. I will love the light for it shows me the way, yet I will endure the darkness because it shows me the stars. Instead of letting your hardships and failures discourage or exhaust you, let them inspire you. Failure happens all the time. It happens every day in practice. What makes you better is how you react to it. Part of being a champ is acting like a champ. You have to learn how to win and not run away when you lose. What you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. In every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. You find the fun and snap, the job's a game. Survival can be summed up in 3 words: never give up. That's the heart of it really, just keep trying. You do what you can for as long as you can, and when you finally can't, you do the next best thing. You back up but you don't give up.
Rule No. 1. Never lose money. Rule No. 2. Never forget Rule No. 1. Remember that the stock market is a manic depressive. The most important thing to do if you find yourself in a hole is to stop digging. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Beware the investment activity that produces applause. The great moves are usually greeted by yawns. Risk comes from not knowing what you are doing. Never invest in a business you cannot understand. In the business world, the rearview mirror is always clearer than the windshield. Time is the friend of the wonderful company, the enemy of the mediocre. It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. Only buy something that you'd be perfectly happy to hold if the market shut down for 10 years. The stock market is designed to transfer money from the active to the patient. If you aren't thinking about owning a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. An investor should act as though he had a lifetime decision card with just 20 punches on it. Do not take yearly results too seriously. Instead, focus on 4 or 5-year averages. Why not invest your assets in the companies you really like? As Mae West said, too much of a good thing can be wonderful. The business schools reward difficult, complex behavior more than simple behavior, but simple behavior is more effective. There seems to be some perverse human characteristic that likes to make easy things difficult. Success in investing doesn't correlate with IQ. What you need is the temperament to control the urges that get other people into trouble in investing. The stock market is a no-call strike game. You don't have to swing at everything. You can wait for your pitch. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. Investing is not a game where the guy with the 160 IQ beats the guy with 130 IQ. What counts for most people in investing versus saving is not how much they know, but rather how realistically they define what they don't know. There is nothing wrong with a know-nothing investor who realizes it. The problem is when you are a know-nothing investor, but you think you know something. Forecasts may tell you a great deal about the forecaster. They tell you nothing about the future. You only have to be able to evaluate companies within your circle of competence. The size of that circle is not very important. Knowing its boundaries, however, is vital. American business, and consequently a basket of stocks, is virtually certain to be worth far more in the years ahead. I won't say if my candidate doesn't win, and probably half the time they haven't. I'm going to take my ball and go home. The best thing that happens to us is when a great company gets into temporary trouble. We want to buy them when they're on the operating table. Most people get interested in stocks when everyone else is. The time to get interested is when no one else is. You can't buy what is popular and do well. After 25 years of buying and supervising a great variety of businesses, Charlie Munger and I have not learned how to solve difficult business problems. What we have learned is to avoid them. You do things when the opportunities come along. I've had periods in my life when I've had a bundle of ideas come along, and I've had long, dry spells. If I get an idea next week, I'll do something. If not, I won't do a damn thing. Today people who hold cash equivalents feel comfortable. They shouldn't. They have opted for a terrible long-term asset, one that pays virtually nothing, and is certain to depreciate in value. The years ahead will occasionally deliver major market declines, even panics, that will affect virtually all stocks. No one can tell you when these traumas will occur. All you are or ever shall become is a result of the use to which you put your mind. Most so-called failures are only temporary defeats. To believe in the heroic makes heroes. Do not tell the world what you can do, show it. There is no security on this earth, there is only opportunity. They always say that time changes things, but you actually have to change them yourself. A sense of curiosity is nature's original school of education. Towering genius disdains a beaten path. It seeks regions hitherto unexplored. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Only passions, great passions, can elevate the soul to great things. Speak when you are angry, and you will make the best speech you will ever regret. Work is love made visible. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. It usually takes more than 3 weeks to prepare a good impromptu speech. The elevator to success is out of order. You'll need to use the stairs, one step at a time. The empires of the future are the empires of the mind. The mind that made you sick can also make you well. Tell everyone what you want to do, and someone will want to help you do it. I don't measure a man's success by how high he climbs, but how high he bounces when he hits bottom. No man has a chance to enjoy permanent success until he begins to look in a mirror for the real cause of all his mistakes. No man has a chance to enjoy permanent success until he begins to look in a mirror for the real cause of all his mistakes. Render more service than that which you are paid, and you will soon be paid for more than you render. The law of increasing returns takes care of this. Never in the history of the world has there been such abundant opportunity there is now for the person who is willing to serve, before trying to collect. Seek the counsel of those who will tell you the truth about yourself, even if it hurts to hear it. Mere commendation will not bring the improvement you need. Who said it could not be done, and what great victories has he to his credit, which qualify him to judge others accurately? By and large, there is no such thing as something for nothing. In the long run you get exactly that for which you pay, whether you are buying an automobile or a loaf of bread. No man ever achieved worthwhile success who did not, at one time or other, find himself with at least one foot hanging well over the brink of failure. In every soul there's been deposited the seed of a great future, but that seed will never germinate, much less grow to maturity, except through the rendering of useful service. Is it not strange that we fear most that which never happens? We destroy our initiative by the fear of defeat, when, in reality, defeat is a most useful tonic, and should be accepted as such. The only man who makes no mistakes is the man who never does anything. Do not be afraid of mistakes, providing you do not make the same one twice. Think well before you speak, because your words may plant the seed of either success or failure in the mind of some other person. The world is divided into people who do things and people who get the credit. Try, if you can, to belong to the first class. There's far less competition. Begin now, not tomorrow, not next week, but today, to seize the moment and make this day count. Remember, yesterday is gone, and tomorrow may never come. The only sensible way to live in this world is without rules. What doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger. April sweet is coming in. Let the feast of falls begin. Let's put a smile on that face. If you're good at something, never do it for free. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. Haven't you ever heard of the healing power of laughter? I like you, but I want to kill you. Some people want to see you fail, disappoint them. The pen is truly mightier than the sword. Is it just me, or is it getting crazier out there? I used to think my life was a tragedy, but now I realize it's a comedy. Do I look like the kind of clown that can start a movement? I'm not political, I'm just trying to make people laugh. When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker? Everybody just yells and screams at each other. Nobody's civil anymore. Nobody thinks what it's like to be the other guy. A bit of advice: don't ever apologize to no one for the way you look. Madness is not a destination. It's a journey into the depths of the human soul. Sometimes, the greatest punchline is the one that turns your own world upside down. In a world of rules, I am the exception that proves chaos can be its own form of order. They laugh because they don't understand, but I smile because I see the world for what it truly is. They call me a madman, but in my madness, I've discovered the sweetest melodies of chaos. When the world pushes you to the edge, sometimes you have to take a leap into the unknown. When the world pushes you to the edge, sometimes you have to take a leap into the unknown. They say I'm crazy, but madness is the mother of genius. Behind the mask of sanity, the truth of who we really are. In the theatre of life, I am the unscripted performance that keeps you guessing. You don't need a plan when you have a purpose. Chaos becomes your ally. I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve in a world that's lost its way. A scarred smile tells 1,000 tales of a life well lived on the edge. They call me crazy, but I call it freedom from the chains of conformity. In the realm of chaos, I found the canvas for my masterpiece of mayhem. Smile, because it confuses people. Smile, because it's easier than explaining what is killing you inside. We stopped checking for monsters under our bed when we realized they were inside us. Nobody panics when things go according to plan, even if the plan is horrifying. Madness is the emergency exit. You can just step outside and close the door on all those dreadful things that happened. You can lock them away forever. Why don't we cut you up into little pieces and feed you to your pooches, HM, and then we'll see how loyal a hungry dog really is. And I won't kill you because you're just too much fun. I think you and I are destined to do this forever. It's funny. When I was a little boy and told people I was going to be a comedian, everyone laughed at me. Well, no one's laughing now. I'm not good at future planning. I do not plan at all. Don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. Do not have a day planner. And don't have a diary. I completely live in the now, not in the past, not in the future. I don't know why everyone is so rude. I don't know why you are. I don't want anything from you. For my whole life, I didn't know if I even really existed, but I do. And people are starting to notice. The worst part of having a mental illness is people expect you to behave as if you don't.
The law of life is the law of belief. Joseph Murphy. Evolution is the law of life. Number is the law of the universe. Unity is the law of God. Pythagoras. Live your life as though your every act were to become a universal law. Immanuel Kant. The ultimate cause of human disease is the consequence of our transgression of the universal laws of life. Paracelsus. All life is an experiment. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Death does determine life. Pier Paolo Pasolini. The laws of nature are but the mathematical thoughts of God. Euclid. Life itself still remains a very effective therapist. Karen Horney. To know the laws is not to memorize their letter, but to grasp their full force and meaning. Marcus Tullius Cicero. Upon these two foundations, the law of nature and the law of revelation, depend all human laws. William Blackstone. The true laboratory is the mind, where behind illusions we uncover the laws of truth. Jagadish Chandra Bose. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. John F. Kennedy. The only dependable law of life: everything is always worse than you thought it was going to be. Dorothy Parker. I lead no party, I follow no leader. I have given the best part of my life to careful study of Islam, its law and polity, its culture, its history and its literature. Muhammad Iqbal. We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. Carl Jung. If you see it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. Bob Proctor. You can start with nothing, and out of nothing, and out of no way, a way will be made. Michael Beckwith. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become. John Ruskin. It is the law of life that if you are kind to someone you feel happy, if you are cruel you are unhappy. And if you hurt someone, you will be hurt back. Cary Grant. What goes around, comes around. Willie Nelson. Let me be a free man, free to travel, free to stop, free to work, free to trade where I choose, free to choose my own teachers, free to follow the religion of my fathers, free to talk, think and act for myself, and I will obey every law or submit to the penalty. Chief Joseph. The perfect family doesn't exist, nor is there a perfect husband or a perfect wife, and let's not talk about the perfect mother-in-law. It's just us sinners. A healthy family life requires frequent use of 3 phrases: may I, thank you, and I'm sorry, and never, never, never end the day without making peace. Pope Francis. This is the first lesson ye should learn. There is so much good in the worst of us, and so much bad in the best of us, it doesn't behoove any of us to speak evil of the rest of us. This is a universal law, and until one begins to make application of same, one may not go very far in spiritual or soul development. Edgar Cayce. I am a citizen of the most beautiful nation on earth, a nation whose laws are harsh yet simple, a nation that never cheats, which is immense and without borders, where life is lived in the present. In this limitless nation, this nation of wind, light, and peace, there is no other ruler besides the sea. Bernard Moitessier. All love is expansion, all selfishness is contraction. Love is therefore the only law of life. He who loves lives, he who is selfish is dying. Therefore love for love's sake, because it is the only law of life, just as you breathe to live. Swami Vivekananda. Be grateful for what you have now. As you begin to think about all the things in your life you are grateful for, you will be amazed at the never-ending thoughts that come back to you of more things to be grateful for. You have to make a start, and then the law of attraction will receive those grateful thoughts and give you more just like them. Rhonda Byrne. life, faculties, production. In other words, individuality, liberty, property. This is man. And in spite of the cunning of artful political leaders, these three gifts from God precede all human legislation, and are superior to it. Life, liberty and property do not exist because men have made laws. On the contrary, it was the fact that life, liberty, and property existed beforehand that caused men to make laws in the first place. To all earth's creatures God has given the broad earth, the springs, the rivers and the forests, giving the air to the birds, and the waters to those who live in water, giving abundantly to all the basic needs of life, not as a private possession, not restricted by law, not divided by boundaries, but as common to all, amply and in rich measure. Gregory of Nazianzus. Our economy is at war with many forms of life on Earth, including human life. What the climate needs to avoid collapse is a contraction of humanity's use of resources. What our economic model demands to avoid collapse is unfettered expansion. Only one of these sets of rules can be changed, and it's not the laws of nature. Naomi Klein. The more we search for ourselves, the less likely we are to find ourselves. And the more we search for God, and to serve our fellow men, the more profoundly will we become acquainted with ourselves, and the more inwardly assured. This is one of the great spiritual laws of life. Shaghi Effendi. Our subconscious minds have no sense of humor, play no jokes, and cannot tell the difference between reality and an imagined thought or image. What we continually think about eventually will manifest in our lives. Robert Collier. True health begins with your thoughts. Thinking about comfort, strength, flexibility and youthfulness attracts those qualities into your life and body. Dwelling on illness, fear, disease and pain does just the opposite. Your work is to notice and change your thoughts and move them in the direction of health and happiness. Christiane Northrup. Give your difference, welcome my difference, unify all difference in a larger whole, such as the law of growth. The unifying of difference is the eternal process of life, the creative synthesis, the highest act of creation, the at-one-ment. Mary Parker Follett. There is grandeur in this view of life, with its several powers, having been originally breathed into a few forms or into one. And that, whilst this planet has gone cycling on according to the fixed law of gravity, from so simple a beginning endless forms most beautiful and most wonderful have been, and are being, evolved. Charles Darwin. Ranchers need clean water for their stock, farmers need it for their crops, every employer needs it to stay in business, and every living thing needs it for life. The law needs to be clear to protect water quality and the rights of landowners. Mark Udall. Ranchers need clean water for their stock, farmers need it for their crops, every employer needs it to stay in business, and every living thing needs it for life. The law needs to be clear to protect water quality and the rights of landowners. Mark Udall. The Northern Ocean is beautiful, and beautiful the delicate intricacy of the snowflake before it melts and perishes. But such beauties are as nothing to him who delights in numbers, spurning alike the wild irrationality of life and baffling complexity of nature's laws. John Lytton Singh. Does capital punishment tend to the security of the people? By no means. It hardens the hearts of men, and makes the loss of life appear light to them. And it renders life insecure, inasmuch as the law holds out that property is of greater value than life. Elizabeth Fry. The attacks of September 11th were intended to break our spirit. Instead, we have emerged stronger and more unified. We feel renewed devotion to the principles of political, economic, and religious freedom, the rule of law and respect for human life. We are more determined than ever to live our lives in freedom. Rudy Giuliani. What I can't understand is why come here and try and change our country into the place that you've come from. And all I ask of people is come here, respect our country, respect our laws, our culture, our way of life, be Australian, join us, enjoy this beautiful country and everything that it has to offer. Pauline Hanson. Love is the flower of life, and blossoms unexpectedly and without law, and must be plucked where it is found, and enjoy for the brief hour of its duration. D.H. Lawrence. There is a wonderful mythical law of nature that the three things we crave most in life, happiness, freedom, and peace of mind, are always attained by giving them to someone else. Peyton C. March. Stand fully in the now moment with gratitude, enthusiasm, openness, and readiness to respond to life as it greets you. Michael Beckwith.
Law 1. Never outshine the master. Ensure that those above you always feel superior. Go out of your way to make your bosses look better and feel smarter than anyone else. Everyone is insecure, but an insecure boss can retaliate more strongly than others can. Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Keep a close eye on your friends. They get envious and will undermine you. If you co-opt an enemy, he'll be more loyal than a friend because he'll try harder to prove himself worthy of your trust. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. Always hide your true intentions. Create a smokescreen. If you keep people off balance and in the dark, they can't counter your efforts. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. Say little and be ambiguous, leaving the meaning to others to interpret. The less you say, the more intimidating and powerful you are. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Nurture and guard your reputation because reputation is integral to power. With a strong reputation, you can influence and intimidate others. Law 6. Create an air of mystery. Be outrageous or create an aura of mystery. Any attention, positive or negative, is better than being ignored. Attention brings you wealth. Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Get others to do your work for you. Use their skill, time, and energy to further your ambitions while taking full credit. You'll be admired for your efficiency. Law 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. Make your opponent come to you. When you force others to act, you're in control. Bait them, then attack. Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. Demonstrate your point rather than arguing. Arguing rarely changes anyone's mind, but people believe what they see. They're also less likely to be offended. Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. Demonstrate your point rather than arguing. Arguing rarely changes anyone's mind, but people believe what they see. They're also less likely to be offended. Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Make your superior dependent on you. The more she needs you, the more security and freedom you have to pursue your goals. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Use honesty and generosity to disarm and distract others from your schemes. Even the most suspicious people respond to acts of kindness, leaving them vulnerable to manipulation. Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. When you need help from someone in a position of power, appeal to their self-interest. They'll be glad to help if they'll get something in return, and you'll get what you want without seeming desperate or irritating. Law 14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy, be friendly, sympathetic, and interested to get people to reveal their deepest thoughts and feelings. When you know your opponent's secrets, you can predict his behavior and control him. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. Crush your enemy completely. If you leave even one ember smoldering, it will eventually ignite. You can't afford to be lenient. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Once you've become well known, don't wear out your welcome. The more you're seen and heard from, the more you cheapen your brand. Law 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Throw others off balance and unnerve them with random, unpredictable acts. You'll gain the upper hand. Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. Never isolate yourself when under pressure. This cuts you off from information you need, and when real danger arises, you won't see it coming. Law 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. When attempting to deceive someone, know who you're dealing with, so you don't waste your time or stir up a hornet's nest in reaction. Law 20. Do not commit to anyone. Don't commit to any side or cause except yourself. By maintaining your independence, you remain in control. Others will vie for your attention. You also have the ability to pit the sides against each other. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. Make your intended victims feel as though they're smarter than you are, and they won't suspect you of having ulterior motives. Law 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. When you're weaker, surrender rather than fighting for the sake of honor. This gives you time to build strength and undermine your victor. You'll win in the end. Law 23. Concentrate your forces. Focus your resources and energies where you'll have the most impact or get the most benefit. Otherwise, you'll waste limited time and energy. Law 24. Play the perfect courtier. Learn the rules of the society you're playing in, and follow them to avoid attracting unfavorable attention. This includes appearing like a team player and being careful about criticizing diplomatically. Law 25. Recreate yourself. Create a powerful image that stands out. Rather than letting others define you, change your appearance and emotions to suit the occasion. People who seem larger than life attract admiration and power. Law 26. Keep your hands clean. You'll inevitably make mistakes or need to take care of unpleasant problems, but keep your hands clean by finding others to do the dirty work and scapegoats to blame. Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. Offer people something to believe in and someone to follow. Promise the world, but keep it vague. Whip up enthusiasm. People will respond to a desperate need for belonging. Followers line your pockets, and your opponents are afraid to rile them. Law 28. Enter action with boldness. When you act, do so boldly, and if you make mistakes, correct them with even greater boldness. Boldness brings admiration and power. Law 29. Plan all the way to the end. Make detailed plans with a clear ending. Take into account all possible developments. Then don't be tempted from your path, otherwise, you risk being surprised and forced to react without time to think. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Make difficult feats seem effortless and you'll inspire awe in others and seem powerful. By contrast, when you make too much of your efforts, your achievement will seem less impressive and you'll lose respect. Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. To deceive people, seem to give them a meaningful choice, but sharply limit their options to a few that work in your favor regardless of which they choose. Your victims will feel in control, but you'll pull the strings. Law 32. Play to people's fantasies. Conjure up alluring fantasies in contrast to the gloomy realities of life, and people will flock to you. Spin the right tale and wealth and power will follow. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Everyone has a weakness, a gap in the castle wall. That weakness is usually an insecurity, an uncontrollable emotion or need. It can also be a small secret pleasure. Either way, once found, it is a thumbscrew you can turn to your advantage. Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. Law 35. Master the art of timing. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. Remember, you choose to let things bother you. You can just as easily choose not to notice the irritating offender, to consider the matter trivial and unworthy of your interest. That is the powerful move. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. If Machiavelli had had a prince for disciple, the first thing he would have recommended him to do would have been to write a book against Machiavellism. Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish. Anger and emotion are strategically counterproductive. You must always stay calm and objective. But if you can make your enemies angry, while staying calm yourself, you gain a decided advantage. Law 40. Despise the free lunch. The worth of money is not in its possession, but in its use. Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. Law 42. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will scatter. Within any group, trouble can most often be traced to a single source: the unhappy, chronically dissatisfied one who will always stir up dissension and infect the group with his or her ill ease. Before you know what hit you, the dissatisfaction spreads. Act before it becomes impossible to disentangle. 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others. Remember, the key to persuasion is softening people up and breaking them down gently. Seduce them with a two-pronged approach. Work on their emotions and play on their intellectual weaknesses. 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. When you mirror your enemies, doing exactly as they do, they cannot figure out your strategy. The mirror effect mocks and humiliates them, making them overreact. By holding up a mirror to their psyches, you seduce them with the illusion that you share their values. By holding up a mirror to their actions, you teach them a lesson. 45. Preach the need to change, but never reform too much at once. If change is necessary, make it feel like a gentle improvement on the past. Even while people understand the need for change, knowing how important it is for institutions and individuals to be occasionally renewed, they are also irritated and upset by changes that affect them personally. 46. Never appear too perfect. Envy creates silent enemies. It is smart to occasionally display defects and admit to harmless vices, in order to deflect envy and appear more human and approachable. 47. Do not go past the mark you aimed for in victory. Know when to stop. 48. Assume formlessness. By taking a shape, by having a visible plan, you open yourself to attack. Instead of taking a form for your enemy to grasp, keep yourself adaptable and on the move. Accept the fact that nothing is certain and no law is fixed. The best way to protect yourself is to be as fluid and formless as water. Never bet on stability or lasting order. Everything changes.